Welcome back to Open Line, talking about Metro Schools. Have with us Director of Schools, Dr. Shawn Joseph, talking about the budget. The budget has certainly been in the news. There's a lot to discuss when it comes to the budget. We talked about social workers. You're having to make a cut in overall social workers. That was my last question. You want to add something to what you said about that?
Yeah, the only thing I would add is that in my budget, I am proposing adding 15 new college career counselors. And we're also working to make sure counselors have more time to counsel. We know they've been bogged down with paperwork and other things. And in my proposal, if the proposal is approved as is, we have positions in place to take some of the paperwork off so they can do more counseling with students, and in addition to having school psychologists provide more support. So, though we lose counselors, we feel like we can maximize the resources that we do have and maximize the social workers that still will be in the district. So we're not cutting all social workers, just 7. And again, in a budget with 11,000 employees, 7 cuts is not dramatic, but it is a cut. And we do want to make sure we work with those social workers and those people affected to make sure if there are opportunities within the organization to keep them, we'll do that. And there are a number of positions where they can apply.
Let's go to Lucy. Hello, Lucy.
Hey, y'all. Well, you kind of got what I wanted to ask about. I'm concerned about the cut in the social workers, and you are cutting licensed clinical social workers, correct, Dr. Joseph?
Yes, ma'am.
And you're going to hire maybe some just plain old, bachelor's level degree social workers?
Yes, ma'am. That's what I said. There is a difference, and I don't take away the skill, expertise, and high level of training that our clinical social workers have. They are needed, and we will have a number of them still in the district.
Okay. Well, and that's the thing, because they have medical social workers in hospitals, but they still send senior citizens home with no supports and maybe an amputated leg and no way to get groceries. So I just want to make sure that things are covered. I am not knocking a 4-year Bachelor of Science degree social worker. I love social workers. But my main thing is this. I'm always knocking on these kids. They have an opportunity to get 2 years of some educational benefits, and not necessarily in towards a degree, but maybe towards a trade. And what's really bugging me is I keep asking them, don't y'all have guidance counselor? Have you talked to your guidance counselor? And when I follow up with these kids are kids out in the public. I just run into them. I'm always knocking on them.
Yes.
And if I ask them, what did you find out? Well, my mother didn't know this, and me and my mother discussed this. I'm like, you need to find out how your mother can get your guidance counselor involved. Personally, I think you should have a guidance counselor should touch that child at least twice every year, the last 4 years of school, to see what direction they are before we drop them on the street.
Okay, all right. I'm going to move along. Is that right, Lucy? Is that your question?
Yeah, I want more guidance counselors and more time with these students so they can do something.
I agree with you.
All right, what about that?
This year I had an opportunity to visit 8 out of our 12 comprehensive high schools, and I met with a couple hundred students while I was there. And that's why I put 15 new counselors in the budget, because invariably kids were saying that they had not had access to their counselors. Kids universally did not understand about the Tennessee Promise, where if you have a 3.0 and you have a 21 on your ACT, you get 2 years of college free. I mean, a wonderful opportunity in this city, in this state, and we just didn't have kids proactively being touched. And I think the counselors, the way we're just defining the job, is full-time working with these students and making sure they know what their options are, and we're making sure that they're prepared. So that's why we put it there.
They need to know what's out there. Let's go to Reverend Fuzz. Hello, Reverend Fuzz.
Hey, listen, Dr. Joseph, I've got this quick question. Do you feel like Metro is committed to providing the resources for the success of our schools. If you had a perfect budget, realistically, how much would that budget be to do the right job to make sure that our schools are successful or become the best in the nation?
Pastor Fuzz, thank you. Thank you for calling in. Let me say this. I think Mayor Briley is going to be a great education mayor. I know he's extremely passionate about this work, and I know we have a council that cares. You know, this year I'm asking for $45 million. I think when you ask what would be the total
$45 million increase?
A $45 million increase, a little bit under $45 million. I think if we get there, we'll take a huge first step, particularly in the areas of social emotional learning and in addition to salaries. But you know, right now I'm only requesting a 2% raise for employees, and they need more. But you know, that 2% raise in step is a $24 million endeavor. So I know over time we need a long-term strategy to figure out how to get their salaries up to the level where we feel comfortable that they can live in this city. But I would say the $45 million request is one that will take us a step further. You know, you have to chunk the total needs of the district down over time because there's no way in 1 year you're going to adequately fund what you need. And I really do think we've got to get our community out. And this is why I'm so excited that so many community members have been coming out, being engaged in this budget process, because once the board approves the budget on Monday, April 16th, we all have to go to the mayor, and then we all have to go to the council. And then once that's done, we need a year to really get to the state and be communicating and advocating for adequate funding within this state, because the state underfunds education, and I think that just has to do with the fact that we don't have an income tax, we don't have high property taxes, so the ability to redistribute wealth like in other places is different, because that's where the majority of your education dollars would come from. Here we kind of do it on sales taxes, and it's just not, you know, it's not as much as some of the more progressive states that adequately fund. I mean, there was
how great is your concern about the number of students? I mean, here we are, we're an IT city, people are moving here all over the place, and yet our enrollment is declining.
Yeah, but our enrollment decline, it was a small dip. I mean, we had 1,500 less students because we had historically been growing. We're still at 86,000 students within our school district, so we are pretty flat. Next year, we're projecting to be flat. You know, we are seeing that a lot of the people that are moving in town that can live here are young millennials. I think we have lots of families being pushed out of Nashville because they just can't afford to live here, and that's an issue that we must address. And a lot of the families that are coming in don't have children yet. And when they have children, you know, there are lots of options, but we want Metro Nashville Public Schools to be not only an option, we want it to be the best option. So we think in time, as we continue to create programming that is of high quality and continues to offer that around every neighborhood, and as we continue to pay our teachers, keep our teachers here, pay all of our staff and keep them here, and focus on improving the quality of our schools. I don't have any concerns about major enrollment dips now, but a year from now we'll be sitting down here and maybe I'll have a different story. But right now I'm feeling we're not that bad off. But I do think it is cheaper to live outside of the county. So when you look at like a Rutherford County, Wilson County, and other places, people are moving there. Smyrna, I mean, people are moving there because it's cheaper. And we've got to do something about the rent here and make sure families can not only live here but earn a living here.
All right, we have to take a break. We'll take a break. I'll come back, have a couple more questions. Be back right after this.